Thomas here with Much Props, going to give you another how-to video. You've probably noticed on the channel from time to time I go to Etsy, and my maker of choice on Etsy is a person who also resides in Texas currently. His name is Jose Madera, aka PR Props, and he makes some amazing sculpts that he sells on his Etsy shop for a very reasonable price. I was perusing through his stuff that he has up currently, and one of the masks that he has just kind of spoke to me and was like, buy me. So I bought his Apex Legends Revenant mask. It's a super clean sculpt. Not that it needs any modifications by any means. I thought I would add just a little bit to it, maybe give it a different paint scheme than what's in game and make it just a little twist of Much Props on top of it. Jose is an amazing sculptor. Please go check out his shop. Please buy things from him. Support makers, especially on Etsy. Shops like mine is basically what funds my channel for the most part and keeps it running. So without further ado, we are going to modify one of PR Props' Revenant masks from Apex Legends and try our hands at hydro dipping. Let's get to building. To start this build off, I decided to do a little casting with some Smooth Cast 300. It's an equal parts A and B resin that sets up in just a few minutes. I made some molds for teeth on a custom tiger mempo a while back and thought they would work as horns for this build. So I mixed up an ounce of both A and B, then poured them in. I also keep a spare mold handy to pour off the excess, that way I don't waste any resin. I'll find something to use these little hexagon pieces for later. Instead of permanently attaching them with glue, I decided to drill holes and screw them in from the backside. I marked out my spaces and plotted my points to then drill in the holes. This will also save me time later when painting. I won't have to mask a bunch of horns off and use a bunch of tape and try my sanity. When drilling into resin castings or sanding, make sure that you wear a respirator and work in a well-ventilated area. You don't want to breathe in any of these particles. I use a router bit on my Dremel to bulk out the hole for the eyes. Then using a sanding tool and a hobby knife, I get closer to the edge to finish the final shape.
Usually this is where I would cut out and come back with a base layer of paint, but I thought I would take you on my process of trying to hydro dip for the first time with regular spray paint. I've never done this before, so after a few YouTube tutorials, I think I got the gist of it. Fill a large container up with warm water, spray paint on the water, and then submerge your item into it. If you're familiar with hydro dipping, please give me some pointers. The end result is okay, but I know I could do it better with proper form and technique. My wife recorded it on my phone, so if you see a spare set of arms in there, that's her making sure that I get a shot back up just in case my camera one fails. Thanks, hun. I sanded back a few areas, masked off what I wanted to keep, and then hit it with some gold spray paint. I realize this is not the paint scheme of the actual model in Apex Legends, but I like how it turned out. Horns on the gold I painted black, and ones on the hydro dip I painted gold, along with the eye insets too. Now I just reattached the horns to the mask. I bought a bunch of those cheap light up devil horns last year after Halloween for like 50 cents a pop. The horns were used in another build, but I saved the lights. I cut the battery pack off of the headband, extended the wire connection, and glued the LEDs into the eye inserts. Then I glued the battery pack into the chin. I actually thought about strapping ahead of time and carved slits on the edges of the mask before painting. Then it was just a matter of gluing some elastic strapping into them and using a piece of 2mm EVA to reinforce the connection. If you're looking for some awesome castings to work off of, please go on Etsy and search for PR Props. I'll put his info in the description. His casts are amazing and they will never disappoint.
we are finished. Here's the end result. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with it. Like I said, Jose is an amazing sculptor and has some pretty awesome things that I've used and made in the past, modifications to. Definitely go check out his shop. I've never hydro dipped before, and I'm sure some of you who have probably were screaming at the television telling me the things I did wrong. I just thought I'd experiment. I watched a couple of YouTube videos, kind of got the gist of it, and then went for it. In my opinion, this wasn't exactly a success. The hydro dip, for some reason, I'm sure it's the way I angled it when I went into the water. I should have gone more at an angle instead of straight on like I did. Probably played a big part in it kind of clumping up in spots. I had to go in and sand parts of it back so that I could paint the bottom part a different color. But overall, I think it turned out pretty awesome. The spikes kind of add to it, and it almost gives it like a Darth Maul type look to it. That's kind of what I was thinking. So maybe you will try and buy one of the amazing props from an Etsy store owner and modify it to do something crazy with, or just paint it to make it more accurate to what you see in game. It's a novel idea. Maybe you'll get some.
Yay!
And inevitably, they're going to ask you, how'd you make that? You can give them one of these. Tell them, much props. Like I said, I can see out of it, so it's not too bad, but guess I'll just mosey on. Peace out.